Qurans used to come down in reference to their questions.
Ishaq lists the 60 Jewish inquisitors by name. Then,
Ishaq, Labid bewitched Allah's apostle so that he could not come at his wives.
Apparently, Muhammad became as impotent as his God.
These Jewish rabbis opposed the apostle. They asked questions and stirred up trouble against Islam, trying to extinguish it.
They may have failed, but their legacy can help us today. Alfred Gulim, the author who translated Ibn Ishaq's Life of Muhammad into English, adds a worrisome footnote to the end of the bewitched allegation. He says the best Islamic scholars attest that this tradition is sound. Other sources explain that the spell lasted for a year. But modernists reject the tradition on the ground that prophets cannot be bewitched. Otherwise they would sin and contradict Allah's Quran. They agree that the hadith is properly attested, in other words, that its isnad or chain of transmitters is sound, but don't believe it is acceptable for prophets to be afflicted by sorcery. Fortunately, there is a test to determine the influence of sorcery. Were the prophet's motivations caring or covetous? Were his words truthful or deceitful? Were his deeds just or immoral? I'll let you make that call. As you ponder the source of Muhammad's inspiration, think about why spiritual inquiry would stir up trouble for a religion. Since a true prophet is called to reveal truth by answering questions, why would one object to them? Ishaq tells us that one Jew was deceived, selling his soul for a buck. His name, according to Muhammad, was Abd Allah ibn Salam. But I find that hard to believe. The Arabic and Hebrew word for Jew is Yahudi, as in the followers of Yahweh, not slave to Allah. So this is just another Islamic deception.
Ishaq, I concealed the matter from the Jews and then went to the apostle and said, the Jews are a nation of liars, and I want you to give me a house and hide me from them.
The Jews were not a nation in the 7th century, which made at least one Jew a liar.
If they learn I've become a Muslim, they'll utter scandalous lies against me. So the prophet gave me a house, and when the Jews came, I emerged and said, O Jews, fear Allah and accept what He has sent you. For you know that He is the apostle of Allah. You will find Him described in your Torah and even named. They accused me of lying and reviled me. I told Muhammad, the Jews are a treacherous, lying, and evil people.
Did Abd Allah betray God for a house? Here are some clues. Allah means oak in Hebrew, so this man's name was slave to a tree. He said, your Torah, not our Torah. He claimed that Muhammad was described in it, when in fact no prophet was ever described in Scripture. The Jews didn't believe in apostles. That was a Christian thing. Apostle comes from the Greek word apostolos, which means to be sent out as an ambassador. Jews never evangelized. The name Muhammad does not appear anywhere in the Bible. Lastly, a learned Jew would quote the Torah reference, and none was mentioned.
Ishaq, Muhayrik was a learned rabbi, owning much property in date palms. He recognized the apostle by his description and felt a predilection for his religion. He violated the Sabbath to fight on behalf of Islam and was killed in battle. I am told the prophet used to say, Muhayrik is the best of the Jews.
Yeah, he was a dead one.
The apostle took his property. Ishaq, Julas, the Jew, used to say, if Muhammad is right, we are worse than donkeys. Allah sent down concerning him. They swear that they did not say it when they did say the words of unbelief. Allah will afflict them with painful punishment in this world and in the next.
This became Surah 975. God must have been a bit tardy, however, with this condemnation, as the 9th Surah wouldn't be handed down for another 9 years.
Ishaq, the apostle ordered Umar to kill him, but he escaped to Mecca.
This next hadith sports a long and distinguished isnad. There must be a reason.
Ishaq, I have heard the apostle say, whoever wants to see Satan should look at Nabtal. He was a sturdy black man with long flowing hair, inflamed eyes, and dark ruddy cheeks. He used to come and talk with the prophet and listen to him. He would carry what he said to the hypocrites. Nabtal said, "Muhammad is all ears. If anyone tells him something, he believes it." Allah sent down concerning him, "To those who annoy the prophet and say that he is all ears, say, 'Good ears for you.' For those who annoy the apostle, there is a painful punishment."
This became Surah 961.
Gabriel came to Muhammad and said, "If a black man comes to you, his heart is more gross than a donkey's."
The Islamic prophet was an equal opportunity racist. It was so tolerant of him. I wonder if Louis Farrakhan ever preached from this hadith. The
"He is all ears"
line is telling. It's possible a Jew told Muhammad he was
mentioned in their scriptures.
Not being able to read, he believed what he heard.
Ishaq. Muhammad promised that we would enjoy the treasures of the Persians and the Romans, but it isn't safe for us to go to the privy. Allah revealed, "The hypocrites and those with diseased hearts say Allah and His Apostle have promised nothing but delusion."
This jewel became Quran 33:12. Well, privy or not, this stinks. Muhammad lured Muslims into Islam with promises of booty. It's another confirmation of the profitable prophet plan. Ishaq and Tabari disagree as to when this conversation occurred and when the charge was leveled. While I agree with the historian's timing, the message is really all that matters. So I'm going to cover these hadith as they arise in both chronologies.
Ishaq. Hatib was a sturdy man steeped in paganism. Yazid, his son, was one of the best Muslims when he was disabled by wounds. At the point of death, Muslims said, "Rejoice, son of Hatib, in the thought of paradise." Then his father's hypocrisy showed itself. He said, "It is a garden of rue. You have sent my son to his death by your deception." Concerning him, Allah said, "Argue not on behalf of those who deceive themselves. Allah does not love a sinful deceiver."
And that jewel became Quran 4:107. I am bereaved of words. Muhammad, however, was not.
Ishaq. The apostle used to say, "He belongs to the people of hell." Yet he has fought valiantly and killed many polytheists. So when he became severely wounded, Muslims said, "Cheer up, you have done gallantly, and your sufferings have been for Allah's sake." Why should I cheer up? I fought to protect my people. When the pain of his wounds became unbearable, he took an arrow from his quiver, slit his wrists, and committed suicide. He was suspected of hypocrisy and loved Jews. This poem was written of him. Who will tell him that by cutting his vein he won't be glorified in Islam? Do you love Jews and their religion, you liver-hearted ass, and not Muhammad? Their religion will never march with ours.
With each new line, Muhammad's heart grew darker, and his spirit became more aligned with Satan's. His reaction to the boy's death and his father's suffering were perverse. And he was responsible. He had deceived him. And while that's bad, consider the damage done to Islam. The Torah and Quran were supposed to be the same. Islam was supposed to be uncorrupted Judaism. But now,
their religion will never march with ours.